What's up, guys? What's up? Happy Friday. I'm gonna have hey, it's 7 o'clock, so we gotta give it up. Let me just get Tajier's info on. I hear you, Danny. What's up, man? Hope the family's well. You could probably hear the noise there, man. Oh, shit. Okay. Tajier Jefferson, yeah, so it's that maintenance. Cool. So what's up, Danny, man? Hope the family's well. See if we can get Tajier on here. And what's up, Pre? Thanks for, appreciate the support, Pre. I got a good one today. Hope you guys are doing well. Had a good week. So, Pre, are you an investor too? Or are you like looking to buy a house, or you just bought a house? I know, yeah, Tajier is the man. You introduced him to us, so that was a big help. Tajier has been a big help. He's done several sweeps for us, and yeah, great guy, always on point, great at what he does. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Hey, Danny builds homes. He was our construction consultant, so if you don't have his info, make sure you connect with him. He helped us out. He's a tremendous builder. He helped us out a great deal. We learned a lot from him, still learning. So, he does a lot of things throughout Jersey. So, maybe reach out to him. I think he also does some things in New York too. So if you haven't, you may want to connect with him, but that's good. That's good. You want to definitely get that, just keep getting that knowledge. Don't be afraid to ask questions, so forth, because this is it's a long-term learning process for sure. Definitely. Danny's a great guy. Yeah, so they're opening the beaches in Jersey. They're not going to open them in New York just yet, not in the city at least, but in Jersey you have more room. So I've been staying up on the news and stuff, man, making sure that we keep abreast of what's going on. Yep. I know, right? Yeah, I like being by the water, but I don't get in too much. I like being by the water. It's cool. That breeze, catch that breeze. I hear you. Yeah, man. Pre, where are you based? Are you in Jersey or are you in New York? Where are you at? Hopefully Taj will be joining us here soon. Jersey, okay, cool. North Jersey? Yeah, no, we got to be careful. Union County, cool. All right, Union County. All right. Yeah, were you on, I think you were on the live last night with Victor Ng of Clear Skies Title. They're in Cranford. They're in Union, but they're going to be moving. Union County. Yep. So, yeah, we trying to just have a lot of different touch upon, speak with different professionals from real estate, mortgage professionals, realtors, contractors, so forth, just so that we get information in. Okay. All right, cool. It's on the recording is on IGTV pre if you want to look it up. I also was able to download it and I put it on YouTube. So if you need the link, let me know. I can shoot it over to you. But it is on IGTV. So Um, I know maybe he's finishing up something, man. Hopefully he can jump on here soon, so we can get this in. Yeah, yeah, no problem. Man, yeah. A lot of just trying to take advantage of all this time and learn stuff and share stuff, and just make sure that it's and we can all help each other out, provide some knowledge, you know. Um, you want to jump on, Danny, for a second and talk while we're waiting for Taj to get on? Pre, you want to? Let me see. You want to talk for a bit, Pre? Any questions that I can ask? Anything you want to talk about? This quarantine has some big timers up here giving out gems. Yeah, definitely. A lot of knowledge being shared. And if you didn't know what Zoom was, now everybody's zooming, and you got to make use of the time, right? And with the technology that we have at our fingertips, you know what I mean. We gotta make use of it. So it's good. A lot of meetups that would be in person, they're now virtually, right? They're virtual meetups, and you can still make contacts. You can still learn, but just a matter of just don't be afraid to ask questions. What's up? Here he is, man of the hour, Tajier Jefferson. All right, give it a second. What's up? It's called Gold. Thanks for joining.
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
You out in the field, huh?
Great.
We got you out in the field. Where you at?
Oh no, I'm in the backyard.
Okay. I know. You don't have a cut either, right? I've been rocking
Yeah,
a
I gotta
hat
put
for like 2 months. Been rocking a hat.
I was gonna put this hat on, but
That's dope. So Tajier Jefferson, one and only, the extraordinary young man who, thanks to Danny Bill's Homes, we met actually about a year ago on our first project in Patterson. Had to get that tank suite. We were buying this, had to get that tank suite, do our due diligence. So Tajier is with represents Silver Staff Maintenance. Tajier, you service, you do all of Jersey, right? Do you do
all over North Jersey, South Jersey, all over Jersey.
Right, all over Jersey.
North,
so
South, no matter where.
Right. So Tajier is phenomenal at what he does. Yeah. So so we'll talk a little bit and then we'll hopefully get some questions here and we make some provide some value for the people Friday night. So again, thanks for joining us. Talk a little bit about because you do a number of things, but talk a little bit about how you broke into the business, because I remember we were talking about that last year. How did you get into it?
Truthfully, I've been doing this for, I would say, about 6 years, going on 7. My girlfriend's dad been doing this for about 30 years, and really started. I graduated from Kutztown University with a bachelor's in management, and I minored in finance. So it was really my my calling. Really, I was doing it since high school, and I really wanted to stay inside. I wanted to stay inside construction itself. So that's really
So how did that come about? Did someone put you onto it? Did you see a sign? Like how did you come about to work with Silver Staff?
Well, my girlfriend's dad owned the company, so he's he's been owning for about 30 years, this company, and it really was sort of a small player in a big industry, and sort of me graduating and bringing all of my ideas and youth, sort of is creating us to be a big player in a big industry. So that's a big thing. That's great. It's a blessing.
That's great. Since high school, all right,
exactly.
and then I know you graduated from Kutztown last year?
Yep, 2018.
Right,
2018.
2018. So 2 years ago, you were
2 years
playing,
ago.
and you're a football guy, playing
Of course,
linebacker for
yeah.
them.
Linebacker, All
That's
American.
great,
Captain.
man. And you were what? You were all conference, right? You were all
All
American.
American. All American. Yep. I was the
That's
captain of the
awesome,
team
man.
and everything. Yep.
All right, we'll talk a little football at the end. We'll see. I
Yeah,
want
we
to
could.
see,
Yeah.
yeah, as we we
Of
approach football
course.
season. So you've been in the game. You've been in this game in the tank sweep and removal and excavation business since high school. So
Yep.
take us through what it is that you do and the services that you provide for people.
Well, for start off, a lot just I know a lot of people already know. A lot of people don't know really that oil tank can be located anywhere on the property, and that's a major step that needs to be taken care of when you're purchasing a property, because the liability that it goes on the homeowner that purchased that property. So
First thing, let's say I'm buying a house. Let's say I'm buying a house, Taj. That my girl tells me I gotta get a tank suite. I just want to buy the house, man. It's a nice house, ready to go. Why do I gotta get a tank? What the hell is the tank? Is an oil tank? What is that?
So oil tank is what the property, the house was. It was used for heating back in the day. So it went from coal to oil to gas. So a lot of the properties, if you're buying a house that was built before 1975, you're always supposed to get a tank sweep. Reason being because any house that was built before 1975 had oil. So at one point it had oil because it goes from coal to oil to gas. Some people do go straight from coal to gas, but a lot of the properties truthfully went from coal to oil to gas. So oil tank is what was heating up the property back in the day. So that's truthfully what an oil tank is. Now, speaking of what you just said about in a rush to purchase a property, it's a good deal, you really want it, and it's an oil tank on the property. A lot of people, just like yourself, a good investor dealing with me, you'll be able to go to the closing table knowing that, okay, it's an oil tank on the property, but I know I have a company that will be able to take care of it for such and such price.
Right.
And if it leaked, that also will be able to be taken care of. So as for not getting a sweep, you always should get a sweep on the property. No matter if the sellers say, "Oh, the tank was removed," so and so, always get a sweep on the property. Because here's one thing: I just did a sweep in Newark, and the seller said that when he purchased the property, that the sellers at that point said that they had the tank removed, but truthfully, they only had it abandoned. So the tank was abandoned and it wasn't removed. So now the tank.
And what does that mean when they say abandoned or decommissioned? Right? What does that mean?
Abandonment and decommission is if you back in the day that sometimes don't even allow this you can't even do this anymore. If you take if you go to get a permit to abandon a tank, you can't sometimes because it's a town ordinance that you can't. But abandonment is when you open up the tank, you suck out all the oil and then fill it up with gravel or sand. And that's what people used to do back in the day. They didn't want to take the tank out. Maybe the tank was underneath a nice driveway that they just did. They cut a small hole into the tank and then they clean it out and then fill it up with gravel and sand. If you don't do it properly, that's when the problem becomes. Because some companies back in the day, they used to say, "Oh yeah, we're sucking out all the oil." They don't suck out all the oil, and then they just go to fill it up with sand or gravel or fill. And now the tank is filled up with not only just the sand or the gravel, it's also filled up with the oil. So that's what a decommissioned, abandoned tank is. So that's what happens a lot of times. Someone back in the day, they abandoned or decommissioned a tank, and now you go look at a property, everything looks normal, the driveway, everything, but the tank could be under the concrete sidewalk, that brand new driveway that was there. So that's really what an abandonment and a decommission is.
Right. So now, I see your question. Yes, the tank has to be removed.
Yes.
Now going back to our example, right? Taj, and we've been doing this together, looking to buy a house.
Of course.
Okay, so I got to get the sweep. What does the sweep entail? What does that entail? Because you have a process, man. I want you to share that.
So to start off, do a tank sweep. You come to the property first. You should do a interior inspection. So you should be able to check. And this is what I tell a lot of investors and that I deal with. You can do if let's say you getting something off of auction.com, or you getting a short sale or something like that, and it's quick. You need to do something quick, or you just able to check and see. You should always check in the basement to see if it's two copper lines. It will be coming from where the boiler is, going out towards the outside. So it'll be along the wall, going either down or going up. Most of the time it's going down underneath the floor, straight into the boiler. Most times, if it's a 275 that was previously there, it's going up top and it's going over into the 275 that might be in the basement. But that's one thing you should first check. And that's a tank sweep interior.
What are those? And what are those copper lines for?
So it's two copper lines. One is a to pull the oil, and the other one is the return. So the two copper lines, one is returning the oil, one is pulling it into the house. So and the tank is on the outside, so it needs to return. If it's too much, it's going to return. But that's what a tank was used for back in the day. It was used for heat. So that's then on the outside you do the exterior inspection. You're looking for the fill pipe. The fill pipe, you'll see that's where the company that used to fill up the tank, that's where they used to fill it up. You'll look for a vent pipe. The vent pipe is usually always against the house. So sometimes people cut it off. That's why you always do an inspection along the whole entire property of the house to be able to tell if, hey, there's a cut off, a pipe right there, and it's filled up with concrete. That's what most people do, try to hide it, because that's something some people don't want to take care of when they're ready to sell a house. So that's one thing.
Right. So now you come and you know, let's say again, I'm looking to buy this house. You come and you do a sweep. Is that all you do? Do you just check for the copper lines? Like, what else do you do?
Well, so as for the sweep, what happens is, let's say I'm doing a sweep and I see that there is a tank. I'll probe down to be able to see the exact placement of the tank. Sometimes, let's say, especially if I'm doing it for somebody, investor that I'm dealing with, a realtor that I'm always dealing with, and I know they use me all the time to do the removal, I'll dig it up right there 2 feet down to be able to check and see what's inside the tank, especially if it was abandoned. If I find the tank and I find to get inside of it, I'll check to see if it's water inside the tank or oil. And what I do is I'll take the measuring stick and I'll be able to put a paste on the end of the stick and be able to stick it down to be able to tell if water or oil is inside the tank, or even if it's anything inside the tank.
How do you get inside that tank though? What do you open? How do you do
That's it. Yeah, so if it's abandoned, usually if it was abandoned properly, usually it's already cut open. The tank is already cut open, which is one thing that's a problem. People wasn't really thinking about this back in the day when they were putting tanks into the ground. Let's say the tank is under grass, and let's say the company that abandoned the tank previously didn't do it correctly. They filled it up. They didn't pump all the oil out. They filled it up with sand or gravel or something like that, and then it's still oil in it. When over 20 years, when it rains, all that rain is going right in the tank and it's filling up. So that could cause a problem in itself, and that's truthfully a problem there in itself. But if the tank wasn't abandoned and I can get inside the tank, I won't have to cut it open. So that's
okay. So now let's say we find out, shit, there is a tank, right?
Yep.
Then if I'm the buyer, do I have to pay for that, or how does this work?
So here's the thing, and this is sometimes where like I said, I keep mentioning, I tell a lot of investors and realtors that I deal with, never allow a seller to try to tell a buyer that it's their responsibility to take out a tank. If especially with those that I deal with, and when I deal with them heavy like yourself, if someone knows that there's a tank there, you can go to the table. All right, if the house is going for $140,000, let's take off $6,000 to be able off the table. Just right there, let's take off $6,000 to be able to negotiate. That's why sometimes it's good if there's a tank on the property, and you especially when you deal with a company like myself, you know what you're gonna have to pay for the removal and if the tank leaked.
Right. Now this is the other thing, right? So let's say there is a tank, obviously it's got to be removed. The seller should always be paying for it, but
Always.
But now, because the other thing is, right, if it's leaking, what are
Yeah.
the potential problems there?
So here's the thing. When we go to take out a tank, I'll start off with abandonment, and then I'll start off with a tank that wasn't abandoned. So if a tank was abandoned properly and it has a permit that it was abandoned properly, when we go to take the tank out, if there's holes in it, we don't usually if we don't see clear signs of contamination, there's no reason to call it into the state, have remediation to be done, because at that point the tank was abandoned properly.
Yeah.
If the tank wasn't abandoned properly and there's holes in the ground, in the tank, and then there's clear signs of contamination, then there's remediation is needed. Now it's the same way if the tank wasn't abandoned and there's holes in the tank. If we see clear signs of contamination, that's when it gets pricey as for the liability of the potential buyers. That's why it's always best to have the sellers take out the tank. When you're doing a transaction, is a lot of people say, oh, wait, it's always best to have the transaction go, have the tank removed as the transaction is going across,
Right.
because you don't want to be liable for what happens next. A lot of people do sometimes say, hey, dealing with us, it wouldn't be a problem. But a lot of people do say, "Hey, all right, let's take off 3,000 off the buy purchase price, or 5,000," and then you go to take the tank out. Depending on which company you use, then you're looking at a $20,000 bill, and now you're liable.
Why can it be so much like that? Why is that?
So here's the rundown. It can be either the reason sometimes where it goes that high is either the tank leaked really, really bad, or there the oil hit water, or you hit bedrock. So sometimes it depends on the city. A lot of rural areas you'll see, like especially where people have water wells and stuff like that, and it's a lot of bedrock. You can't really. Sometimes when you get to that, you can't really go start digging deep, because now you got to go through rock. And sometimes, all depending, sometimes you want to just make sure that it's cost effective to the homeowner also.
Yeah.
But also you got to realize you got to be able to get the NFA from the state, and that's all. That's the main game. The main thing at the end of the remediation job is getting the NFA, which is the no further action letter, and that comes directly from the DEP.
Okay. So then when you're ready to take out that tank, you got to get a permit from the county.
Well, here's the thing. You have to get a permit from the town in order to get. Yep, from the town. Some cities you do have to. Like I have to do a job in Clifton, and it's on Clifton. It's on Clifton Avenue, and it's on a county road. So I had to get 2 permits. I had to get the oil tank removal permit from the county. I mean, from the town, and then also I had to get a road opening permit from the county. So that's really sometimes what happens too as well.
Okay. Is when you the tanks, are they usually like a certain? Is it a standard amount distance that they're beneath the ground?
Usually they're at 2 feet. Depending on the area. Sometimes it's 3, and it is different sizes. So it goes from the smallest is a 275-gallon tank,
Right.
and usually the 275-gallon tank is in the basement. In different areas, when you're going up north towards like Jefferson and Sparta, that area, the 275s are usually in the backyard on a concrete pad. And then it goes from 275, then it goes to 550-gallon. 550-gallon tanks are underground. 90%, 95% of the time they're underground.
Okay.
Those 550-gallon tanks are 6 feet long, 4 feet width, and then it goes to a 1,000-gallon tank, and that's just double the size. And then it goes to a 1,500-gallon tank. And I've seen small properties have a 1,500-gallon tank on the property. And then it goes to 2,000, which we've taken out at apartment buildings. And then when it goes to 3,000, sort of looking at bigger houses. And then when you go up more, that's just towards gas stations and stuff like that.
Okay. Yep. So most of your work is with residential properties, correct?
Residential, yep, residential.
Yeah.
It depends on which contract we get. Sometimes our subsurface evaluator, he wants us to dig up some at a commercial site, but mostly it's all residential.
Residential, yeah.
Yep.
So, now have you ever had a seller say, "Hey, listen, Taj, I'm looking to sell this house. I know there's an oil tank. I want to remove it," or do most sellers just a mum, and it's really the buyer that has to initiate it?
Well, and that's the problem. If the realtor, the lawyer, or if your realtor, your whole team, your realtor, your lawyer, your home, your mortgage company, if they're not knowledgeable in the situation on the environmental side, you might get messed over because the sellers sometimes they're not gonna really want to tell you that a tank is in the ground because they don't want that liability. They just want to get the house sold, they get their money, and sometimes the realtor and the lawyers and stuff like that, those are the ones also that's really just want their commission. So that's sometimes what happens.
Yeah. So, and then the problem is that if that oil tank is leaking, you got to have an engineer come out, right?
Well, here's the thing: if the oil tank leaks, it's the subsurface evaluator. So the subsurface evaluator comes out with us, and he works with us. He's from the DEP, and he's the one that is telling us how much dirt comes out. And that's one thing that's good that homeowners have is that the state is there. They're able to tell you're not getting messed over. But sometimes companies, it happens. You can't stop it, but the subsurface evaluator from the state is who tells us how much dirt comes out. If it's 20 tons, 15 tons, 30 tons, 40 tons, and that's sort of how it goes. And that's all dependent on how badly the tank leaked.
Okay, and then they take that and examine it.
So what happens is we take it. So if it's 40 tons, let's start off with 40 tons. Let's say it's 40 tons that we take out, just a number. Let's say 40 tons is taken out. That goes on the truck and it's taken down to clean earth, which is in Carteret, and that has to be disposed of. Now, what you put back in the hole is certified clean fill. Now, certified clean fill has to go back in the hole, and the report, which is the RER, in order to get the NFA from the state, is what goes into the state, and included in that is how much dirt came out, the levels after the excavation. So at the excavation hole, after it's done, we have to take 6 samples at the bottom of the hole to be able to tell, all right, it's clean now. Everything's clean, and those are sent to the lab. Once those results come back, we're able to send it into the state, and they're able to send us the NFA.
So then the potential cost there, can it be more based on the level of contamination?
Correct. There it goes.
Okay.
It's based on the level of contamination. Yep, it's based on the level of contamination.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Yep. So yeah, that's important. So now roughly, because I obviously we follow each other on IG, and I see you guys always pulling out tanks. Roughly, how much time does it take to pull out a tank?
As in, if you contact me today, the time frame the tank is removed, or as in at that?
Yeah, let's say it's already been established. There's a removal. There's a tank there. You're coming Monday to remove it. Is it a one-day process?
Yeah, it's a one-day process. If I have the permit, I apply for the permit already. It's a one-day process. We remove the tank. The inspector from the town comes and he sees the tank as well. He gives us an approval sticker or a failed sticker. Usually, you get that same day. So you'll get that same day. And if there's remediation that's needed, then that's taken care of afterwards. But as a time frame from if you contact me to do the removal and then go from there, it all depends on the.
Let me see. I lost you for a second. Let's see here if you come back here. Thanks for hanging in there. We got a couple people on here. Let's see. You hear me, Taj? All right. Let me see. Might have to end this and bring it back. He was okay. So let's see. For those that are on, I think Tajier had an internet issue, so let's give him a minute here to jump back in. Appreciate you guys hanging in with us on a Friday evening. Hope you had a great week. You and yours are safe. Really warm today. A lot of people out and about. Make sure we're wearing our mask. Here we go. Okay, here we go.
I pressed the button. I didn't mean to. So
no, that's fine.
As in the time frame, let's say I do the tank sweep and I see that there's a tank. From there, it all depends on the city. As of right now, what happens is right now with the COVID, everything is the time frame. A lot of cities are not accepting permits and stuff like that. But on the usual time frame, you're looking at 1 to 2 weeks before the removal.
Usual time, 1 to 2 weeks before you can actually remove it.
Correct. Yep.
And then now with during the pandemic, that's extended more.
It adds some time because it extends time. Reason being that the reason why it extends time is because the a lot of the building departments are backed up. So that's the reason why that happens.
They're on different schedules now. You know
everybody's
what I mean?
everybody's on different schedules. Like Clifton right now, I have to do a removal in Clifton, and the county is on a different schedule as the building department. So now I have the county permit right now, which I had to get a bond and all that stuff. I have that already, but now Clifton's building department is closed, so they haven't given us our permit for the oil tank removal. So it takes a little time because of the COVID, everything going on, but
Right.
it's usually about 2 weeks.
Now, when you say bond, what does that mean? That you have a bond?
Well, it depends on the city. You have to get a bond. So let's say that the tank is under the sidewalk. They want a bond. So they want about $4,000 to $5,000 bond, and the bond is actually just once the tank is removed and the concrete goes back. They want to assure that you make sure you put the concrete back. They don't want their sidewalks to be all jacked up and you don't put it back. So they make you get a bond. So the bond is just in order for, let's say you don't do it, and a year from now they say they go back and revisit the site. They go to they take the bond and they pay another company to fill up the hole.
Once you've removed the tank and whatever had to be done gets done, does someone from the county, the town come and make sure, like right after, or does it vary?
As for the removal, always the building department comes out. The fire inspector is always usually the fire inspector. Depending on the city, it's the building department too. I mean the building inspector too. But I know like Union City, they made like 5 inspectors come out for the just for oil tank removal inspection. And then as for the county, only one person comes out. He really just wants to see that you put back certified clean fill. You didn't put back just fill you got off the street or something like that. You actually bought the fill. Because some people, they get fill from wherever and they just backfill a hole. They don't want that because sometimes if you put brick inside the hole, it absorbs and then it'll start creating sinkholes in it. So they don't want that. They want certified clean fill where when it rains, it goes straight down and then the concrete right back on top.
And one thing I gotta say, because like I said, we've worked with Silver Staff Maintenance, and Tajier's been great. We've done several sweeps with him in the last year. It's not, we're not just talking to talk, but one thing I love about what your work and the service that you provide is that you did a sweep for us in Patterson, and you thought there might have been something. You checked a little bit more. You did a
probe,
probe. You did a probe,
excavation,
and it turned out that there was nothing. And then you gave us a document stating that you didn't find anything. But
so here's the thing. So here's the thing with that. With a tank sweep, a lot of companies say, "Oh, a lot of companies say like here's a great example. I did a tank sweep, and this was in Hawthorne. I did a tank sweep, and I completed the sweep, and I found the tank. The homeowner, the sellers wasn't there. The buyers was. So I completed the sweep, and I said, "There's a tank there." I sent the buyers the report. Now the buyers got the report that there was a tank sweep there, and
that there was a tank there, right?
There was a tank there. Yep, that there was a tank on the property. The sellers called me. The sellers called me like a day after, and they said, I had a sweep done in 2008 when I bought the property, and they told me that they told me that there was no tank there, and I have the paperwork, and they said it was no tank there.
Oh man!
And she told me where's the tank at. I showed her the exact location. I sent her the exact location of where the tank was on the property, and she ended up calling the other company. And mind you, this was in 2008. She had that tank sweep done. She ended up calling the company that did the tank sweep in 2008, and she ended up actually getting them to take the tank out for free, which is something that you're supposed to stand by. And at first they wasn't trying to, and I told her I said the most that they may do, they may refund her what she paid for the tank sweep. And what's funny, here's another funny thing about that. The company that did the tank sweep, they called me as well, and they called me and said, "Where did you find the tank at?" I told them exactly where the tank was, and they said my guy, when he went there, and mind you, 2008, probably didn't check there. And I said that's one thing. That's all it goes with hiring a good contractor to do a lot of stuff, just not just oil tank sweeps, to do stuff inside the house. If you hire somebody that's not really really on your side and really want to actually make sure they get the right job done, that's sometimes what happens. That's just not with oil tank sweeps. That happens with it. That
Yeah,
happens
with
with a lot.
everything.
That
Right.
happens with everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happens. So she's now in the process of, and that slowed down her selling the house. She's now in the
Right.
process of having the tank removed. She at first didn't want to use them, so she was going to use us because we found the tank, and she didn't want to use them because now they were sort of liable now. The sellers were sort of liable now to take out the tank when it was supposed to be the previous sellers that
Yeah.
before she
Right.
bought it. So
Right.
that's sort of the situation as for with a tank sweep. That's why you always want to make sure you get tank sweep.
And also, and that's why you always got to make sure that you have to be careful. That's why you have to be careful who you hire, who you contract,
Exactly.
because you got to get the
You
right
always
people.
got to.
Because
You have
there's
to
people,
get the
as we
right.
know, right, and you were saying it a minute ago, there's people that we know they don't have that attention to detail. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I remember,
Exactly.
you know, you were, I remember seeing you work. You was in the basement, you were in the back, in the front, in the
Exactly.
back to the
Exactly.
basement. You know what I mean? Just making
Yeah.
sure.
Just
And
make
that's
sure,
it, man. Is that
100% what happens. A lot of people aren't. They don't have attention to detail. And then what we do, we guarantee our sweeps. So we
yep.
guarantee the sweeps, and what happens is always, if it depends on the area. Sometimes people build on the tank. So I know we took out tanks before that. The tank was located underneath the house. So and that it was like 5 feet underneath the house because it was sometimes too that uh, 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 the tank was underneath an addition, and when you do the tank sweep, you might mess around and miss it, and that's sometimes that will not with me yet. It hasn't happened, but because you got to be have the interior inspection has to be the best one because, and they always say, especially with home inspections, the basement is the most important spot when you're doing a inspection. So, and that's where you do the interior inspection at. So, when you're doing the tank sweep, you gotta just make sure you have attention to detail. You get a certificate from us, you get a report
Right.
exactly what we find. If it's a 550 gallon, if we feel as though that there's need for a for us to dig up because we
Yeah.
found an anomaly, a tank size anomaly, then that's something that happens too. That goes in the report. But it's always it always is best to get a tank sweep.
Right.
Always. Yep.
So then, with the excavation work that you guys do, is that also around? Like I think you were mentioning, sometimes you had sometimes you get commercial jobs where
Exactly. So also the work that we do is demo. We do excavation for foundations
okay,
and demo on a house. We have to demo a house in Jersey City. It's a 2-family and the backyard is huge, and they're ready to put a duplex on it. The
okay,
zoning was approved for high rises over there, so
yeah,
a lot of investors they jump on that. When you're able to put a good amount of units on one little piece of land, you do it. So
that's it.
that's something
That's it.
that we do as well.
Right, but and then the majority of the work though is residential tank
Correct.
sweeps
Yeah.
and removals.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
cool, cool.
Driveways. We also do concrete sidewalks.
That's right. That's right.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
So a lot now, especially now, it's getting hot. A lot of people now they want to do up their backyard.
yeah.
So I have to do like almost 5 backyards. We have to fix it up. We're doing putting retaining walls. What we do as well,
Okay.
putting driveways, pavers, and that's something that's gonna happen now because of the COVID. A lot of people aren't gonna go out, so now they're gonna want their backyard done up.
They're gonna hook up their house even more, man. Yep.
Exactly, because they want to have parties and stuff at
That's
their
it.
house. So that's
That's
something
it.
we do as well,
Yep.
uh, just besides the oil tanker work.
Now, now you're a big, strong guy, man. You could lift a tank out yourself, but like, do you have a crew? Like, how many in the crew?
Well, so here it is. It goes. It all depends on the season. So as of right now, we're pretty busy. Especially we're gonna be backed up. We're pretty busy. So right now we have 3 to 4 guys, and then during if it's during the winter, we doing snow also. That means we need a little bit more guys to do some of the work. But there's times we have to take out the tank by hand. We had to do a tank removal in East Orange, and it actually was down the street from my house in East Orange. And the tank was located in the backyard, and the entrance to the backyard was only 2 feet. There was no driveway. The entrance to the backyard was only 2 feet, and in order to get to the tank, we had to get back there, dig up the tank by hand, cut the tank up in small pieces, and then pull it out. We actually had to remove it that way, and that happens in Bayonne too, because a lot of the houses are spaced out together, like they're close. So it's no, and it's weird because there's no. It's crazy how where tanks the location of tanks are at. You're like, wow, why would they put a tank right there?
That like you said, they just weren't thinking, man. They just say the house needs a tank. We just put it right here.
That's what happens, and that's definitely what happens, because we did a tank removal in Bayonne, and the front of the house was huge. I have it on my Instagram now.
Okay.
The front of the house was humongous. Like you have a extra space to put a tank, but the tank was located up the stairs and on the actual property, and it was weird. It was like, why put a tank there? So it was like, if you look on Instagram now, it's probably like 4 videos down. It's like, why put a tank there? There's no reason that a tank.
They must have forgotten. They were like, oh shit, we forgot how this house gonna get heat.
One thing they just wasn't thinking back then. It was not thinking.
Yo, that's cool. So guys, we're here with Tajier Jefferson of Silver Staff Maintenance. Tajier, again, tell them what, and again, great service, great competitive prices, great communicator. If the guy tells you, hey, I'll be there tomorrow at 10, he'll be there tomorrow at 10. Sure. I'm not just saying that. I've worked with the man for a year now. He's done like 4 or 5 sweeps for us. Great guy. Luckily, there was no tank, knock on wood, but had there been, you know, he would have taken care of it. So, Tajier, just give him a quick rundown. What the services that you provide?
So it's for oil tank removal to start off. Most people call us to do an oil tank sweep in order to find the oil tank removal to the actual oil tank. And then from there, it's remediation. That's what's needed if the tank leaks, and that's only if the tank leaks. We do excavation work, demo, dig for foundations, concrete, driveways. I know a lot of people, if you're looking to do your backyard up, that's something we do as well. Pavers, retaining walls also.
Cool. Guys, any questions around any of these topics for Tajier? We got him here, so ask any questions regarding oil tanks, so for excavations. You know, and obviously his handle's right there. You can reach out to him directly, DM him. You know, do you have a website as well?
No, just the Instagram, because a lot of people, I tried to focus on the Instagram because it's a lot of people, when you go think about the website, a lot of people don't really, it depends on what it is. If you're not really shopping to buy clothes or shopping to buy something, a lot of people are always scrolling on Instagram. So that's
right. No,
everybody. Just anywhere, you're always on Instagram. So that's mainly you're able to see everything on our Instagram.
No, it's a huge networking tool. Yep.
Huge. And with the website, it's sort of, I feel like it's outdated, especially with this kind of industry. When you're doing sales and you're doing clothing and stuff like that, a website is always best. But in this industry, it's always, you want to be direct. Like you want to be able to talk to. If you DM me on a website, you can't really DM somebody. If you text them, go in there, you got to just, let me look for the number. On Instagram, you're able to go, let me DM, let me ask them a question. I was at a property and I seen a tank and I want to know what should I do here? Or what should I do with this tank removal? So that's why it's always best to, I use Instagram.
Let me ask you, Taj, with your business, how would you say you get most of your business? Is it through IG? Is it through referral?
It usually through IG, and then through referrals, and then major, just like yourself, like Danny doing work for Caesar.
Danny Builds Homes.
Exactly. Danny Builds Homes, big time. Danny Builds Homes, big time. So it usually goes through there that we get all our work, and then also Instagram. Let everybody see the Instagram, and when you're sharing it and you're staying active with, especially with a lot of your audience, you're staying active. Everybody, I'm ready to buy a property. Here, I know I have to do a tank sweep. So that's just like seminars. Just like now, you get somebody now, they get some education on it, and they say, I just was ready to go look at a property. I need a tank sweep. So that's something.
There you go. Thank you for the question, real baby. Are the tanks illegal to have in general?
Tanks in the property, they're not illegal. They're absolutely not illegal. Shout out to that's actually my aunt. Shout out to her. And the tanks are not illegal. It's actually not even illegal to sell a property with a tank in the ground. It's just the mortgage companies, for the buyers, they're not able to get insurance on the property, especially if it's a rehab. Those lenders they don't want no problems. They don't want when you get that $100,000 rehab money. They don't want to hear in a month that, oh snap, there's a tank on the property. I got to pull the tank out, and then also I got to pull I got to do remediation if it's needed. They don't want to hear none of that because you're gonna still be paying the interest as it goes. It really messes them up, and that's what especially with a lot of private lenders, they're always. I deal with a lot of banks. I deal with Caldwell, Bank of America. Bank of America own a lot in Newark, and they always want tank sweeps. They always want tank sweeps because they don't want to lend out that money, and then a month from now they get a call from the person that just got the money and say, oh, I found the tank. Then they're like, oh, that's just slowed down the process.
And then they're gonna ask you, why didn't you do that at the beginning and due diligence?
Why you didn't do it exactly? Because
like
now,
while these people over here doing title, this and that, you should have been doing
your
tank sweep.
Exactly, doing your tank sweep. Because if you don't do the tank sweep, then because a lot of with rehab, especially when you're doing a rehab property, that's what a lot of people are doing now. With a rehab property, you got to be on the timeline, man. You can't be going here, and then
adding time, man. Yeah.
Sometimes that happens, and that's life. Stuff pops up. But with an oil tank, that's something that you always got to take care of before you even purchase the property.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you for your question, Real Baby. Any other questions? Again, man, thank you for jumping on the live with me. You know, like I said, I appreciate you always supporting and jumping in the live, so forth. You know, what you do is really important, and you're very good at what you do. You're an honest dude, hardworking dude, you know, approachable. Like I said, always punctual, always on time, always get things done the right way. So I wish you just continued success. Anybody that I speak to, any information I can give them, if they need a tank sweep, so forth, I always let them know Silver Staff Maintenance, because I really don't believe there's anyone out there better. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Especially that's the best thing to do. You want to have, and that's what I tell a lot of investors that I deal with, and a lot of even the homeowners, even especially with realtors, because I deal with a lot of realtors day in and day out. I try to connect with a whole bunch of realtors every day, brand new realtors even at that. And that's the first thing that I always tell them. I rather long-term business partnership than short-term. So when a customer come to me and say, hey, the tank removal was $1,500. I can only do 14. It's better to get long-term, especially with an investor like yourself. Let's say you say, hey, this property right here, it needs remediation. I need you to work with this price. I need you to help me out. Of course, that's what I'm going to do, because you're an investor. You're not going to be buying one property. You're going to be buying. This is something that you're doing full time. Doesn't even have to be full time, but it's something that you're into. So a lot of people, some companies, they do.
Right.
They rather that short term money.
Right. Exactly. And also, we're in this space. We're meeting different. Like, we have people on here. Who knows? We have several of them are investors. Hey, we're putting them on. This is the guy that you want to reach out to. Hey, hey, Fabian. You know, I gotta see a house in Patterson next week. Damn, I gotta get a tank sweep. You gotta reach out to Silver Staff Maintenance.
Exactly.
That's what it is, and that's where we all help each other, and everybody can eat, man. There's enough for everybody. You know what I mean? So, but you want good people. You want good people. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're the best at what you do. So that's why, you know, we're doing this.
This is one business you have to be trustworthy, and I can speak on this because it's something that you have to be worried about. And me, truthfully, and I take this all just in life. I try to worry about myself, what I can do for myself. I don't try to worry about the outside noise. But sometimes when you hear with companies that some companies make sort of problems with a tank, and where that the tank didn't have problems. No name calling, but because I truly rather worry about my company, this company be able to take care of this one, not any other company. So that's why what happens is other companies get a bad reputation, and you don't want that. You don't want a bad reputation, especially when you're dealing with investors, because you deal with investors like yourself, and you in somewhere with 5 other investors, and someone say, hey, I need an oil tank sweep, and you're like, don't use silver staff maintenance, then it's like, that's right, you don't want that. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, any other questions? We're coming down the home stretch.
Yep.
This has been great. I'm learning. Hopefully you guys are learning as well. I'll post this recording afterwards too. So Tajier is also a football guy, man. Talk to me, man. Like what's going on, man? Are you a big college football guy, NFL guy, both?
So I've been playing football my whole entire life. That's really my way to college, really, playing football, and I got a scholarship to play football, and
Touchdown.
I truthfully loved football a lot, and yeah, touchdown. And when I was ready to graduate, I was truthfully on the borderline of, should I really go full throttle with this business, or should I really go and try out? And this was something that I had to sit down and ponder on and think about what was really going to be direct money, be able to help out me and myself, my family also. So that's really something that I had to think about. I am a big time football player. I've been a captain on my high school team and college team, my junior and sophomore year. So that's a big accomplishment for me, All American. So
yeah, that's dope. Where'd you grow up? East Orange?
East Orange.
You went to East Orange High?
No, my freshman year I went to East Orange High, and then I transferred out to Queen of Peace in North Arlington, that's where I finished out my high school career. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I remember you telling me. That's right.
Yep.
Cool, man. Yeah, so football season's coming up, so hopefully you guys can get going. Got to take precautions first, make sure things are safe. But
exactly.
Yeah, man. Like I said, thanks for jumping on.
Yep.
Let me just make sure. Anybody with any questions for Tajier, anything around oil tanks or excavation or how to play linebacker, anything, let us know. But anyway, his handle's there.
Let me know. Yeah, any questions?
Silver staff maintenance. He's a great guy. Does a tremendous job. I know there's no one better in terms of your oil tank needs here in the Garden State. So reach out to him. Taj, thanks for jumping on. And, let us know whatever we can do to help you, man. All the best. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care.